Hey YouTube, it's been forever and ever and ever. So I have a lot to talk about. One second, I got this stupid pop-up go away. I have a lot to talk about because I've been gone for, I think it's been 9 months. A lot of people were messaging me and worrying if I was quitting Vanguard, quitting Buddy Fight, and just quitting card games in general. The answer to that question was no. I never have quit. I simply with my new life in Oregon and my work and everything else, it's hard to make videos because when I do get off, because I work 12-hour days, I'm exhausted. And but the reason I'm making these videos is I recently, this past weekend, I went to Houston, Texas, to the Bushy Road Spring Fest. I had a good time overall. There were a lot of problems with the tournament. I will be doing a video just talking about the tournament. I participated in both the Vanguard and the Buddy Fight tournament. And I will be doing a video also on the future of both Vanguard and Buddy Fight as well, because they are two separate games and two separate different kinds of things I want to tackle there. I did not play with my normal team. I played with basically two strangers. I originally was going to go to the Springfest tournament and not play in the Vanguard Team League at all. I kind of wish I wouldn't have, played in the event at all, which I will tackle in my Vanguard video. And I'm not quitting. There's just a lot of stuff that I want to talk about as far as Vanguard-wise. But I have a deck profile here for you. You probably know what I played. But I will warn you, I'm going to go through this very quickly because I'm sure you've seen plenty of Overlord deck profiles by now. I'm doing this just to get it out. I will say this, though. This is the last G-era deck profile that you will see from me. I will get into why in my Vanguard video. I will also be doing a Buddy Fight deck profile as well, so you can see what I played for Buddy Fight. So let's just jump straight into that, and everything else that goes with Vanguard and Buddy Fight will be in their respective videos. So, for my Overlord deck, for starter, Lizard Soldier Conroe. There is no other starter for me as far as Kagero goes for G-Era, just because this is where we started. I hope that we get a new reimagining of Conroe, just because Conroe to me is just synonymous with Kagero. For triggers, 4 fire, Chase Dragon. If whatever column he's in, if a unit is retired in the same column, you can retire him and retire the other one as well. 2 tar. I'll always have tar as part of my critical triggers if I can. To be real honest, I wish I would have just played 4 tar instead, because I just prefer tar. And then for draw triggers, 2 Seal Dragon Archfleet, 1 Gatling Claw. You don't really need Gatling Claw in this build because the new Overlords, they retire quite a bit, so you don't really necessarily need Gatling Claw, but I played 1 just because it's Gatling Claw. It's classic. 3 Inspire Yell Dragon for the special stand trigger. Never thought I'd see me playing stand trigger in Kagero. It is a good card though, and plus you wouldn't want to max out like normally with Kagero I play 7 crits and 5 draws, but you don't want to play that in this build because of the purge. You'll deck yourself out so quick, and with also your other restanders. So to be real honest, part of me wishes I just would have went 12 crit, but like I said, not really stressing out that much over it. And then the four heal triggers, her ability, when this card is discarded for the cost of a G Guardian, you can bind the card you discard plus another copy of herself in your drop zone face up, and if you do, you can countercharge 1 or soul charge 1. I have yet to use that skill, but it's there. So grade 1s 4 Protect Orb, the Unflipper, it's still the best perfect guard there is. 4 Lizard Soldier Conroe, helps you search out your Overlords, gives you countercharge ability. 3 Bringer of High Flame, helps you recycle your Overlords back to your deck, and then if you send 2 back to the deck with its ability, you get to draw an additional card. And if when you would pay the cost for Stride, you may sacrifice this unit on your field to Stride into any Overlord G unit. And then 3 Lava Flow Dragon for Stride fodder. This deck completely centers around Stride, so you want to max out your ability to do that. Grade 2s. 4 Glow Heaters. Glow Heater is really, really good. He was a card that Kagero desperately needed because their Grade 2 game was very weak. Even though they still had cards like Neo Flame and the new Nahalem and Dragonic Burnout, they needed a new Grade 2 with 10k to ride. This is a very good option. The only downside to him is when you ride or call him to a rear guard, you have to reveal an Overlord in your hand. If you can't, he loses minus 5,000 for the rest of the turn. And then his other skill is when you're on a Grade 4 Overlord unit, he gets 2,000 power for every damage your opponent has. So there's that. 4 of the Emperor Dragonite Nahalem, 5,000 every time an Overlord swings. So pretty much if this is on your field, anytime one of your G units swings, or you're Grade 3 and you don't Stride for some reason, he's going to get 5,000 power, and he's 11 at all times, so, or 11 during your turn. And then 3 Burning Horn Evolute. Evolute, it's a good card too. It gets you some early retiring for a Soul Blast and a reveal of an Overlord in your hand, so it's very good. Also, like Glow Heater, he gets 2,000 power for every damage your opponent has if you're on a Grade 4 Overlord. So there's that. Next, 4 Destiny. I'm sure y'all know what he does by now. When you ride him, or during the beginning of your main, oh god, when this unit is placed on Vanguard from your hand or at the beginning of your ride phase, you may Soul Blast 1 and select 1 rearguard circle, and retire all units that are in that circle. So it gets around Lock, it gets around Resist, all those fun skills. And then when you Stride onto him, you may Counterblast 1 and retire one of your opponent's rearguards and look at the top 7 of your deck for an Overlord. If there is an Overlord among the 7 cards, you may place 1 of them in your hand and then shuffle your deck. For the backup Grade 3, a lot of people are going to tell you that to play the Legend because at least you get a search out of him. I didn't play the Legend because if you don't, if you ride him after you get the search, that's really all he is. Because to be real honest, I've never been a big fan of his Generation Break skill where he basically becomes a Stride. It's good, but it's just not really good in this deck. I do not play the Legion with Cross, and I do not use the Great. I actually just use 4 copies of the End, and the reason for this is there are still decks in the G era that float around that like to sit on Grade 2 or just play the stall game like the 7 Seas deck. This gives you a way to deal with them, because if you play against 7 Seas and you ride this, they instantly know that, okay, we're kind of screwed here because we have a Vanguard that has a devastating skill that we don't want it to go off. If I go first, this is typically the Vanguard I ride first because I can ride Grade 3 and swing at them for 16 or even 11, and they'll usually drop a perfect guard just so it doesn't work. So I use the End, and the games I have played with this deck, it surprises people, and that's why it's him. For the G-Zone, hang on, should have made sure this was in the right order. For the G-Zone, 3 Purge, that's all you need. Some people say you only need 2. I can honestly see running 2. I just play 3. His skill is flip over a card in your G zone and then take an Overlord from your hand and place it in the soul. Your opponent is dealt 1 damage, and the trigger effect off that damage check, if there is one, is nullified. And then his other ability, if when he swings Generation Break 3, his drive checks become equal to the amount of damage your opponent has. So generally you're going to get 4 to 5 checks with him, so yay for that. For Ziegenberg, Ziegenberg was really a stride that Kagero needed, because it gave them another just good overall generic stride, and it gives them the ability to restand for essentially a counterblast 1 and a -2, helps blow up the field, and that's pretty much it. So does the job. 3 ace, mainly just in case your opponent rushes you down and you want to go into 1 and use his skill twice, which I have done before, and it's pretty nasty because your opponent may not expect it. And then for the last stride, I play 1 Ascend Grave Dragon. Ascend Grave Dragon is probably the best first stride you can go into, unless you G-Guard, so you can go into something bigger. Counterblast 1 and flip something face up, so it gives you access to Generation Break 2 early, which is not really a thing anymore, but it is, it's there. And then when he attacks Blaze, if you can destroy one of your opponent's rear guards and draw a card. So it's there. You might be asking, Jaden, why no Drachma? No, why no Kagero Zeroth Dragon? Reason for this is I was going to get one, but people still want $80 for that card. Guys, the G era was ending. I'm not going to pay for that card. It's not worth it. I'm going to eventually get one, just say I have one, but I'm not going to pay that. I just will not do it. And to be real honest, the deck doesn't need it. So for G-Guards, 1 Overlord, so simple 20k shield. 2 Defeat Flare to take out big rear guards. Once 1 Defeat Flare, really good against blasters if they stack their Flogels in the back row. And then 1 Salam, so you can protect yourself really big for just a counterblast of 1. So that is the G zone. So that is my Overlord, Purge, Destiny deck profile, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, I did this very quickly, and I will cover more of my thoughts on the future of Vanguard. And if I seem a little annoyed, it's because, well, I'll explain it in my Vanguard video. But no, I am not quitting Vanguard. I still love the game very much. I just have a lot of feelings about it that I want to get out, and I will do that in my Vanguard video. So thank you very much, guys, for checking this out, if you did, and I hope you're doing well. And I promise I am going to start posting again. That is why I'm doing all these videos. I want to get back on YouTube. I miss talking to you guys, so I'm going to make it a point to start doing this again. So thank you very much, and I will see you guys soon. So make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe.